In this video involving triangles and circles, I'm going to use my knowledge of 2D trig and the steps to tackle it to work this out. They tell me that PR is the diameter, and so I know that each of these radii is worth y because the diameter is 2y, so that's something buzzing through my head. The other thing is that if this is 2y and 2y, then these two angles would be the same. And so if that's theta, what's left in the triangle is 180 minus theta, so each of them would be 90 minus half theta, 90 minus half theta. And so step one, I always try to get all the missing angles and size up the question. Step two, I normally work out the common line, but there isn't a common line. Step three, I look and see if it's a 90-degree triangle, I'm going to use SOH CAH TOA. If it's not, I'll use sine rule or cos rule. Because they're looking for cos, I think I'm going to default to using the cos rule. I'm going to use the cos rule for side, side, side. And what I do for that is I put cos by itself in brackets to be safe. I put the two sides next to theta. Let me call them the next door neighbors. So it's the one next door neighbor squared plus the other next door neighbor squared minus the one opposite squared over 2 times the next door neighbors. That gives me 4y squared plus 4y squared, 8y squared minus y is just 7y squared. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8y times y squared. And so what is cos theta? It's 7 over 8. Be careful here not to get, I'm going to write it here just to tempt you. Be careful here not to get too trigger happy and go, oh, whenever I need an angle, I'm going to shift and go shift cos 7 over 8. They're not asking for theta itself. They want cos theta, and so I leave it like that as a fraction. If they wanted theta, so in this next example here, if you needed to work out PT as an actual number, I'll give you two cool things that you can do. The one is you could obviously just have shifted cos 7 over 8 to get theta. Now you'll have an actual angle here, and you can use that to work out PT. Another thing that you can do, and this is a powerful trick, not that it's needed in this question, it's just too cool to resist, is if you've worked out something like this, cos, sine, tan, and you've worked out what it is, so cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, you can always just on the side of your question paper draw a little triangle and go backwards and do Pythagoras to get the other side. Maybe as a good habit you can work out the other angle, it's just 90 minus theta. And any other questions that you ever had coming up for subsequent questions, you could use this. So if, and we'll see it now, if they say what's sine theta, then it's just root 15 over 8. So if I'm not allowed a calculator, I can go back to this triangle. So when I've got a little function equaling a number or a fraction, I can always draw a little triangle to get me going. But let's get back to the question. And so the question asks us, determine PT, and PT would be there. And if this is the diameter, they're basically checking, do you know your knowledge of angles in semicircle, that's going to be 90 degrees if PR is a diameter. If things are getting a bit busy or noisy, this is another really subtle and helpful trick. You can always, in seconds, you can see how fast I'm drawing it. In seconds, you can just work out what you have. And so that can be useful as well in any circle geometry, similarity and proportion related questions, just to draw a little triangle. And so they want PT. I can see it's a 90-degree triangle. I've got one of the sides. I don't know that this is 2y because that's the whole length. So it's now an unknown to me as well as PT. And so because it's a 90-degree triangle, I'm going to use SOH CAH TOA. I want PT, which is opposite, and I have the hypotenuse. So that is sine. Sine, when I look from theta, is my opposite over my hypotenuse. I want PT by itself, and so I'm going to times the 2y up, and there I've worked out PT in terms of y and theta. That just means there should be a y and a theta in the answer. So this is my answer, but just for discussion purposes, if they wanted it without theta, they just said in terms of y, then because of my little trick of drawing a triangle, I could just look at my triangle now and say, what is sine? It's opposite over hypotenuse. The 2 and the 8 could cancel, and I would have an answer of just that. And so I hope all these subtle little extra tricks and these redrawing of triangles were helpful just for other sections of the maths that you might come across. If you did find this video useful, please like it, subscribe to our channel, and share this with your friends. Thanks.